All right, so this is the thing that I want to most talk to you about. We touched on it on the radio, but the all-time great NBA team, like if you could pick the 5 players, and I was very pleased to see you agreed with my team, which seems like sort of a no-brainer. But what is, take that aside, and maybe you change your mind, what is the basketball team you would put together that would beat any other team, like the top 5 guys at each position?
Oh, Lord. Magic, Michael, Bird, Russell, and Jabbar.
All right, so now I'm with you. The argument that John Ireland made, or some people could make for the second team, was you, the Big O, LeBron, Duncan, and then Wilt. Now it'd be a battle, but why would it's a tough situation here because you're on the other team. But take yourself out of the argument. Let's say you and at worst you and Jordan, to a degree, can cancel each other out. Well, what is the matchup there in that type of a game that ultimately is going to win a 7-game series?
Dude, it's going to be back and forth. I mean, that's, you're going to win some, you're going to lose some. It's going to come down to the end, and, ball be in my hands, it'll be in Mike's hands, and he'll get the best of me some games, I get the best of him some games. And that's just how it's going to be. It's going to be back and forth, back and forth.
Sometimes when we think about legacies, and this came up during the finals, because either Duncan was going to win his 5th, or LeBron was going to win his 2nd, in counting. Wade was going to win his 3rd. And the way to win an argument like this is, oh, well, the team that you and I put together has 31 rings, right? Where the second one has 14. But, like, how much do rings actually tell the story? Like, how much do other teams come into it? How much is the fact that Russell was on the team meant that they were going to win the ring? Like, how do you kind of settle that for history?
And basketball is the one sport where one person can really alter a team. Leadership, demeanor. If you have pieces around you that complement each other, that's a start from the top as well. Great staff. But when things are equal, you have 2 great teams going at it. One player definitely changes the outcome of a game. It's not like baseball or football, whatever it may be, where quarterback's on the sideline or intentionally walk a batter. Mm-hmm. Basketball is one of those sports where the individual, has supreme outcome on whether or not you win a championship.
See, something that it made me think of defense also to a degree, because we look at all the offensive numbers. That's what makes sense. But Bill Russell, a lot of those rings came right because of defense.
Not about the numbers though. It's about the how you're able to drive a team, and Russell's done it, and Michael obviously done it. I've been successful at it. It's about how what buttons can you push to get your team to be at that ultimate level.
See, some of the guys that haven't won the rings, and we think most notably of a Barkley or a Malone. I think Barkley did an oral history of the '93 finals that I read the other day, and he said something like, well, I didn't always play defense. I didn't have to play defense, and that got me thinking, well, maybe that's the answer. Maybe that's it right there, because you can't not always play. Maybe it's not just defense, but like with that type of drive, is that what you're getting at?
Well, I mean, if you pull the covers back and you really dive into why those teams lost, why Michael was able to beat those guys all the time, I'm sure you'll see a lot of that, from the Utah teams and Seattle teams. I'm sure you'll see that, man. And, Michael was very detail-oriented, and he had Pippen, who was no slouch by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, probably one of the most underrated guys ever.
Rodman and Phil Jackson, obviously. So they had a team of guys that were very detailed and very methodical and didn't skip steps. And so when you're going up against a team like that, you have to be equally focused. And if you're not, you're going to get beaten.
You've got 5 rings. Do you look back in your 17 seasons and think about ones that got away? Do you think you took full advantage to get the rings that you have?
Yeah, I definitely think about those 08 and 04 for sure. And that just makes me want to get another one and make up for it. Can
you, in your mind, give those teams credit for playing better at the time, or do you think that you guys just should have played better?
No, they played better than us at the time. They executed better. They were, their pieces fit a little better. Throughout the course of the year, they were able to make those pieces fit better than we were, than we did. And so I take it as a motivational thing, and it makes me want number 6.
Let's say that I left a couple guys that could have fit into that mix quite well into the top 10. Who first jump out at you Is it a guy like Jerry West? Is it a Shaq at his prime? Is it Hakeem? Like who are the players you think that come right into that top 10 argument?
Hakeem's outrageous. I mean, you can make a case for him being the best center of all time. What he accomplished and what he was able to do and the impact that he's had on the game. He was at both ends of the floor. He was phenomenal.
Hakeem is it, so. What about in the backcourt? Anybody else come to mind?
Jerry West, obviously. I mean, what he was able to do. Elgin Baylor, what he was able to do. There's a lot. I mean, it's a long, long list of great players.
So the first guys that I was able to watch were really Jordan, Bird, and Magic, like growing up in the '80s. And I can sit here and make an argument based on numbers for the guys that played before that, but we probably, as we go longer and longer, get lost a little bit in history. And that the kids today, they're watching you the last couple of years, now they're watching LeBron. Still, so how do you, what are the first real tapes of guys you were able to study and kind of understand how good they were?
Let's see, I watched
Dr. J?
Oscar, Jerry. I watched Dr. J a little bit. I watched Oscar and Jerry a lot, Bob Cousy. Goodrich, Earl Monroe, Clyde Frazier. I watch guys like that quite a bit.
People say that the difference in the game today is that it's more athletic and less skilled. Yeah, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, but you're certainly a person who can give us a better idea of this. Like how does the game compare today to where it was back then?
I would agree with that, actually. I'd say it's less skilled. I think, as a whole, the United States in particular, I think we're fundamentally flawed when it comes to the game of basketball. I think we're really lacking fundamentals, and I think it starts at AAU level.
And that's, you actually honed a lot of your game in Europe. At the same time, your dad was a professional player, so maybe you would have had a chance to get that skill anyway. But you now have a youth basketball camp. What are the best ways to try to change the system here?
Well, you got to teach kids how to play the right way. How to play the right way. And it's not about the showboating and all that other stuff. It's just about thinking the game, basic fundamentals of the game. I mean, I've seen a lot of professional players in the league that can't, shoot a 5-footer with their left hand. I mean, it's ridiculous. So it's just about having the basic fundamentals of the game.
Hasn't the defense, if I'm going to play devil's advocate, the defense seems like it's gotten a lot more intense in these latter years than if you watch the tapes of like the 60s, 70s, 80s, where it was running up and down a little more. Can that make guys look less skilled than they are? Just the defensive pressure?
No, I think the rules make you force players to be less skilled defensively because you can hide now. So you can take a player and hide him in the zone. You can hide him with baseline help. When I first came in the league, you couldn't hide players. You had to really work on your game individually as a defensive player, or you want to get embarrassed. So I think the rules now, you can hide a lot more.
Kobe, final thing for you, and I feel like this conversation changes every time you make a comment about it. Somebody said in Brazil you could play 4 or 5 more years. You've said that to us before, though, and we just don't go with the headline. We go with the. So what are you thinking about your career? How many rings you want to win? How healthy you're going to be? How many minutes you'll play and still feel satisfied? Because I know you don't want to come in and be a pinch hitter and play 20 minutes. And what is it right now that you want to tell us about the rest of your career moving forward?
I feel pretty damn confident I could be at a high level for at least another 3 years. I feel like how I was playing last year. I know I'll be healthy. I'll be ready to go this year. I know what I can bring, and I think I can easily do that for another 3 years.
And the quick follow-up: has that changed from like last season? You were a little bit less talking about the 3 and more like maybe another season or 2. Like has the injury affected that? Has your effectiveness last year changed that?
Yeah, I think the injury has something to do with it. I think it really increased the drive. And I'll probably San Antonio getting so close to winning number 5 too probably hurt me a little bit too. I want to make sure I push the ring count out a little further.
I mean, because you look at like how close they were and how close Duncan was to tying you and how well he was playing at 37. I kept thinking the whole season, like I didn't draft him in my fantasy league, thinking at some point he's got to slow down. But he really made it all the way through the finals.
It was really, really close there, man. they played phenomenally well. But it's a testament to what skill can do. And with guys, what us old guys can do. If you play together, you play, with one mind and one purpose, you can accomplish great things. And I think it was inspirational for me, and hopefully inspirational for the city of Los Angeles and its organization of what we can do, how this tide can turn fairly quickly. And we'll be looking at a parade.